Have you ever felt drained before your day even starts? Like no matter how much rest you get, you're still exhausted. What if I told you it's not just stress or a lack of sleep? Maybe it's actually an energy leak. Today, I'm breaking down the sneaky ways that your energy is being drained and how to start taking it back. So, most of us are walking around exhausted, not because we're doing too much, but because our energy is leaking out in ways we don't even notice. The conversations we have, the boundaries we don't set, and the guilt that we carry, it all takes from us. But the good news is, you can stop the leaks and reclaim your energy. So let's talk about how. Before we dive in, I'd love for you to comment below. Where do you feel the most drained right now? So as we move forward into this, we first want to take a look at how do we even spot them? How do we know, is this an energy leak? So the first thing that we can do is understand that they don't always look obvious, but they can show up in small little ways. One is we start saying yes when we really want to say no. We over-explain ourselves. We justify our answers. We are so well trained to do this under the idea that it's polite or we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. Not considering that doing this is really taking a lot of our power, our energy from us, depleting the battery. Feeling responsible for other people's emotions. So one of those is, as I just said, we go ahead and over-explain ourselves, taking responsibility for how somebody else is feeling. When we hold on to resentment instead of setting a boundary. This we see quite often. People don't know how to set a boundary. And so we say yes, or this person just keeps asking, not even knowing that they're even crossing a line. So we feel resentful, but the resentment is more of a warning sign. Hey, we have a problem here. We're out of alignment. We either need to set a boundary with the other person or with ourselves. And often the case is actually with ourselves or our problem. And then give without receiving. Now, this can be one of two things. One, we could be giving and giving and giving because it's habitual and the other person's not offering anything in return. They just might simply be a taker, or it might be a pattern that you've created with them. Or it can also be that we lack the ability to receive. This has been me in many places of my life where when I've asked for something, I've been declined and felt rejected, and therefore I wouldn't say I was incapable of asking, but we were getting pretty close. I didn't feel safe asking for anything in return. And so there'd be this give. I wouldn't ask for something in return and I'd be waiting for it to be offered and then just be disappointed, or resentment would creep back in. So notice where certain emotions are coming up. Freezing, when we are all of a sudden don't know what to do next. We don't know what to say, how to handle something, so we just freeze. Procrastinating, that can look like scrolling on social media or organizing your closet. It can look like lots of different things. So notice where these things come up. They're little signs that we have an energy leak. So if you've ever left a conversation and you feel completely exhausted, even though nothing big happened, often that's a sign that we have an energy leak. And it's not necessarily the person we were in the conversation with. It's just that we're already leaking. You can imagine we're like a sieve. We have all these little holes poked in us, and the energy is just flowing out faster than it can come in. And so these can all be signs that we're draining energy from us somewhere. So where in your life do you feel most drained? Is it at home, with family? Is it certain friends? Is it work? Just notice it. Where is it that we need to become more aware of ourselves? And then step 2, we want to take a look at why weak boundaries equals constant exhaustion. So boundaries aren't just about what you say. So it's not just about saying no to something, it's also about what we say yes to. Because sometimes we're answering yes when really the answer should be no. And sometimes we need to we say no, like to ourselves, when we really should be saying yes. Maybe we need to take a break and we just keep pushing through instead of taking the rest that we need. So often the person that we're saying no to is ourselves. And intuitively, we know what we need to replenish that energy, and we don't give ourselves that. When we lack boundaries, whether that is around our time or around our energy and our emotional space, we're really leaving it up for grabs. So I always think of boundaries as like a fence, and good fences make good neighbors. So we want to have boundaries because they actually increase the quality of our relationships. So we don't want to do them a lot of the times because we think, oh, we're going to hurt somebody, or they'll be upset with us, or it'll create distance. It's actually the opposite. That's the truth about boundaries, is like fences, they make good neighbors, they make good relationships, both with the other person and with ourselves. So notice where it is that both you need to say yes more and where you need to say no more. And notice when it's with the other person, or if maybe it's with yourself. And then when we don't do it, so we allow people to be late, we allow people to waste our time, we allow people to choose things for us, then we're saying, I don't value my time, so go ahead and take it. And so we need to take a look at where those boundaries can be placed. And so if you think of it this way, so if you're constantly answering messages immediately, people learn that your energy is always available. I like this concept because quite often we answer a text message really fast or an email really fast, even when it's at work. And then there's this expectation that that person or you are always available, you're always there. Now, when I was listening to a podcast yesterday with Amy Porterfield, and she was talking about this in business. And she encourages people to set up reply emails. And within that reply emails, it may be that we answer the frequently asked questions, but in there we say, I only answer emails on these days between these hours. And so if you're looking for something sooner than that, maybe these frequently asked questions will be helpful for you. If we can set this up, I have a reply email that goes out automatically. And it started back when I was still struggling quite deeply with my head injury. And the auto response that all my emails have say, as a mindfulness practitioner, I'm connected to everything and attached to nothing, especially my devices. I will not reply to this email probably within the next couple of days. If you need a more efficient answer, please contact, and I give contact for my team, or I give the number for our business. Why do I do this? Because for myself, I noticed that email was a place that it really spiked my anxiety and my panic. It felt like I was constantly being bombarded, and I could feel this sense of energy draining out of me, which is really what was creating that sense of panic. And so for myself, I put out these boundaries so that I was saying, I'm not attached to my email. I know it's a way that everybody expects an immediate reply, but it's not going to be from me. So figuring out where it is that we can place these. And it may be that you can't say, I'm not going to answer them for a couple days, but you can say, I answer my emails, or I only check my emails twice a day between this time and between this time. So depending on what there is there, a lot of times we answer our emails and our text messages all the time. And it's one of those symptoms, it's people pleasing. What will they say? Will they be upset with me? So just notice what's there and what could be a proper boundary that works in alignment with your values within, personal as well as business. So thinking of how could that play out for me? So what's one small boundary you can set this week? And maybe just comment that below. Maybe it's, I don't answer my phone. There's another boundary. I have a lot of energy boundaries around my life that I started with my head injury. And I needed them. They were survival tactics so that I could heal. So one of my other boundaries is my phone automatically turns to do not disturb at 9 p.m. So if I pick up my phone and look at it, I'll see something. but my phone stays on do not disturb from 9 until 6 a.m. And that just works best for me so that I'm not looking at text messages and emails. I'm starting to reactivate my cortisol levels, which interferes with my melatonin production. And then I start to notice I was becoming insomniac. So we want to be able to find a way that supports our energy. For me, sleep became really vital and something I struggled with heavily. So where can you set those boundaries that will help you? And then step 3, let's take a quick peek at a way that we can seal our energy leaks. So if we're feeling emotionally drained, there's a couple ways that things we can do to help us replenish quickly. So one of them is within our control that we can do anywhere. So take a moment. I'd like you to just come into your body and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, just ask yourself, where is my energy going? What do I need right now? And then give yourself a pause to notice. It may be that a name comes up, or maybe you see a picture of something. Maybe you feel a spot within your body, a place within your field of energy that feels weaker. Maybe you will even feel more like a pinch or an emptiness. And as you notice that sensation, breathing into that place, and we can even ask that place, if it's a space within our body, what do you need from me? So what do I need right now? Do I need to say yes? Do I need to say no? Do I need to take a pause and rest? Do I need to move outside? Be in nature? Do I need a meditation, some breath? What do I need right now? So to seal the leak, we just choose one small action to support us. It could be saying no to something misaligned. It could be taking a break instead of pushing through. It can be setting a time limit on conversations. What do you need? It's important for us to remember that our energy is our responsibility. No one else is going to protect it for us. That's our job. So what do you need to protect your energy? I want to remind you too that when we feel senses of guilt around these things, guilt is actually an emotion that we feel when we're out of alignment with our values. So if my value is respect, it's not just about respecting other people, it's about respecting myself. So notice if that feeling of guilt comes up. Am I out of alignment with my values? And the other question we can ask is it guilt or is it distress? Often what we think is guilt is actually a feeling of distress because we're taking on somebody else's emotions. Remember, that's a sign of an energy drain. We are not designed to take on other people's emotions. It's a power struggle. Other people's emotions belong to them, and our emotions belong to us. And we can only experience empathy when we allow somebody to have their emotions and we work to understand where they're coming from without going there with them. So I can empathize when somebody doesn't like my boundaries, but I don't need to take that emotion on. I can empathize. I feel you. I feel that this is not making you happy right now, but this is what I need. And how can we deepen that conversation and that connection by having a talk about this versus just bending and giving our energy to that person? So what's one way that you're choosing to protect your energy today? If this video helped you, please make sure to like it, to subscribe, and hit the bell so that you don't miss next week's video on how to set boundaries without guilt. Join our Awakening Circle for deeper conversation on energy, on boundaries, as well as conscious empowerment, how we can understand quantum physics, bring it in to understand ourselves, our purpose, and so much more about us. I hope this helped and brought value to your day. Brightest of blessings.